What is the oddest or most uncomfortable sexual request you have agreed to participate in? Guy I was dating asked for this setup. Mid-afternoon. Leave the door of the house open. I'm on the bed sleeping fresh from a shower. Radio set to local jazz station. He comes into the house. We duck. He leaves. No words exchanged. This story is a bit hard to tell over the internet, but I'll give it a shot. I was seeing this girl pretty casually, her choice. She was awesome. However, after hooking up a few times normally, she began to ask me to wear certain clothes that she had lying around. First it was shirts, then a lot of other items. She even asked me to style my hair a certain way and grow a goatee. I complied to everything because the sex was really hot. She was really into me spanking her and calling me daddy. Turns out, the clothes I was wearing were her dad's and the goatee and hairstyle were modeled after him. In fact, I looked a little bit like him when he was younger. I posted an ad on Craigslist to find a play date group for moms. I got an email from a guy who said he wanted to pay me to decorate my house like it's Christmas, and watch me open presents from outside the window while he jacked off. He would supply the presents, decorations, etc. He said the look of surprise and enjoyment got him off. Not gonna lie, I thought about it 1 second longer than I should have. Not too odd, but calling my former boyfriend daddy, it actually wasn't uncomfortable until I had to work the next day as a nanny, and had to call my boss as daddy too. I once had an ex who wanted to roleplay her past sexual abuse. In the end it helped her cope but was very uncomfortable. Walking in to see a threesome that was supposed to be a 2-couple foursome. That stopped as soon as I got there. My ex was into this thing where she would start relationships with other dudes and not tell me, or discuss it ever. Was not hot. When I was 16 I posted an ad on Craigslist saying I would do random jobs for cash, things like pulling weeds, shoveling walks, walking dogs. Some guy asked me to feed him a can of wet dog food while he wore an Alice in Wonderland dress. Strangest money I have ever made. Fucking my friend's girlfriend from behind while she sucked him off. I met her in a 400 literature class. She's all prim, proper, young, well put together, and super hot. When I arrived they texted me she was sucking him off and if I wanted to nail her. Hell, I was just gonna borrow their camera for a trip. Never planned on being in a threesome with a guy, but this didn't feel very gay since I was getting the female body. Most awkward part? When he said, "Dude, high five both my hands." I do it. We just Eiffel Towered. She laughed with her mouth full. Then she started wanting me without him and he was the jealous type, and I learned open relationships are usually like this and realized I could never have one. Their mistakes became my lesson. For every woman the man in the relationship has sex with, the female will take 20 men. Sometimes out of spite. Sometimes because that's her palate. As if either would be satisfying. The dude told me this with 100-year-old coffee bitterness. I never want that look. No thanks. Monogamy please. Had a girl give me a blowjob while her friend and I watched a porno. Me and her friend even made small talk. Very weird. My ex was not into sex at all. She was nearly as perverted as I am. But she thought sex was something that had to be put off till wedding and actively tried to avoid anything sexual. However, we were 1921sts, she was older, and naturally we always ended up in bed making out. She kept pushing me away. I backed off and she asked me why the hell I stopped. So, she told me that she was uncomfortable doing it. She wanted to do stuff, but that if she was participating in it she'd feel slutty. Her solution? She told me to do whatever I wanted to her and ignore her refusals. She'd literally be struggling, biting me and try to get me off of her, but sulk if I actually stopped. I had to take her clothes off by force and literally pin her down. I'm way stronger than her. But she's like 5'1", so it's not as though she was that strong to begin with, in order for us to mess around. Does anyone get how ducking confusing this is for a 19-year-old who had only had one real GF prior to this? She'd tell me that she knew that if she actually wanted me to stop that I'd stop and that she felt safe with me. But it was really uncomfortable the first few times. An ex asked if I could blow up a shit ton of balloons so she could dress up and pretend to be a cat and play with them all as a sex thing. She also expected this to happen while sneaking me into the house to get it on without her parents knowing she had a boy in her room. Balloons aren't exactly known for being quiet. And I'm not sure any parent wants to investigate a series of loud bangs to find their kid wearing lingerie and pretending to be a cat playing with hundreds of balloons they inflated for the purpose. Chick I used to date had a rape fantasy about being raped by the devil. She did the makeup and I must say I looked evil as hell. Pun intended. What got me scared was amid the slapping her and rough scratching and such she said speak in tongues. Dated a girl who wanted me choke her during sex till she was blue in the face. Only felt odd the first time. After that it always felt natural. Turns out I like choking and hate ducking. Thanks crazy girl I dated. Had an ex-boyfriend that's AP rip/masculine marine. But really into sissy play and futus. I'm usually pretty submissive myself. So having to DOM him while he's dressed up in a frilly pink dress and wearing a wig and a ball gag and having to peg him was interesting. Girl wanted me to suck her toes during sex but didn't realize she was in for more than she bargained for because I love feet. I sucked and swallowed those feet like they were cocks. He wanted me to act like a Nazi. Sometimes he would too, German accent. Lots of given commands. What made it worse is that I'm Jewish. And he knew. FYI. I wasn't into it. I wasn't in a healthy relationship at the time and due to previous traumas I was far too eager to please someone during sex. As I felt it was the only worth I had. Still ducked though. This girl from Tinder wanted me dressed as Jesus during the act. Unfortunately there was no second coming. This one isn't from me. My psychology lecturer at uni, who taught us about paraphilia, had a client who was a dominatrix. Her weirdest request was from a dude who wanted her to pretend she couldn't see him and crush slugs with her stiletto heel. Apparently the first time the dude ever came, he was hiding in a bush and some woman walked past, crushed a slug and he jizzed in his pants. Now he spends a bunch of his money trying to chase that high, because nothing else cuts it. I was once hooking up with a girl while we were drunk, and she kinda started passing out. So, I tried to end it by saying let's go to sleep. She actually got angry and told me I better finish. I didn't finish completely. See, she started to pass out again. But it was a weird experience. BTW. Not rape. Just hooking up with a nymphomaniac. Blood play. Up until that point my sex life was pretty basic. My now ex-girlfriend told me it was a fantasy of hers and I didn't care because I was gonna get laid, so duck it. The first time I cut my chest and she proceeded to gently lick off the blood and I found it way more erotic than I thought I would have. The second I cut the side of her ribs did the same thing she had done to my cut. I'll admit being the one who licked the blood was a tad gross, but overall I enjoyed it. I have not done it since then and it's been years, but 8/10 would cut again. To speak Spanish to him while he touched himself. Neither of us are Hispanic. And he barely understood me. But he was really into it. I was basically telling a dude with an erection about my day. Me. What's the difference between a garbanzo bean and a chickpea? GF. What? Me. I've never had a garbanzo bean on my face. GF. Is that literally true? Me. Nah, just a joke I heard somewhere. GF. Wanna make it true? TL, DR got my face peed on. First and only foursome. It was my first and only time in a group sex situation. It was with a woman I just met with her sometimes ex-boyfriend and his current girlfriend who he stole from her. Very awkward dynamic and I just felt like a piece of meat. This girl I was with wanted me to pull her hair. So I pulled it. Then she grabbed my hand, looked me dead in the eyes and said harder, and gave it a hard tug. I swear she would have been happy if I pulled her hair out of her head. She had pulling on her hair, really ducking hard. Ex-girlfriend wanted to get peed on. A little weird, but who am I to judge? We hopped in a shower and I learned how difficult it is to pee with a hard-on. I once sat in car while a guy grabbed my man boobs and jerked off. Wouldn't even let me blow him. Weird. Total stranger. He gave me a full lecture on Sigmund Freud and penis envy. All the while full force ducking my face. He was leaving the next day for Oxford. Straight male, three-way with a girl and a girl transitioning from male. I'm pretty open-minded, so honestly the most uncomfortable part was that the trans girl came before me despite being on hormones that make that very difficult. So I was trying to do my thing and at the same time wondering, do I have a hormone disorder? When I was 15, my lesbian cousin asked me to help her get pregnant. She was 24. It was weird at first, but I ended up knocking her and her partner up with twins. A friend of mine told me that she once brought a guy home who wanted her to stick her toe in his butt. She almost broke her foot doing it. One time during sex, my boyfriend at the time cut his finger open, then asked me to lick it off of him as he rubbed his blood all over his face. That was kinda weird. FWB with a chick who liked being fish hooked. Went on a date with a chick who had me eat her out while she watched her fave Jersey Shore episodes. After finishing sex, she would clean me up with her mouth, which I was very okay with. Then at some point she decided that it would be fun to have me taste it too and wanted to make out with some of my cum in her mouth. I guess I'm not that adventurous. I'm a lawyer, and I had this one guy approach me because apparently he has some sort of fetish for obscure legal loopholes. So I got him off on a technicality. She wanted me to wear panties while I ate her out. I put those panties on, reluctantly. At first, it turns out that after that a lot of women I've been with have been interested in me wearing panties. Why do women get so turned on by men wearing women's underwear? I dated a guy for a while who was into some freaky stuff. I asked him what's the weirdest thing he's ever done. The conversation went like this. Him. I put meat inside a girl once. Me. Meat? What kind of meat? Raw or cooked? Him. I was raw meat. Me. What kind of meat? Chicken drumstick? Minced beef? Leg of lamb? Him. Why are you so obsessed with the meat? It was pork. About 6 inches long. Me. Ah, okay. Pork tenderloin then. Him. Anyway, I put the meat inside her and started ducking her. But after a while I realized I couldn't feel the meat anymore. Me. What? Where had it gone? Him. I ducked it right up inside her. Me. So what did you do? Him. Well, I tried using my hand to pull it out, but it was too far up. So in the end she just had to push it out. Me. So she gave birth to a piece of pork? Him. Yep. The end. P.S. I checked with him and he agreed I could post this story.